Communication from the FUBA Federation.
The Federation of Uganda Basketball Association, FUBA, through the Office of the President, put out a statement this morning, and entailed in the statement or in that document was cancellation of all local activities here in the country for the calendar year 2020, and that is simply because of the COVID-19 situation that is in the country right now. So all the league activities, all the other local activities have been, they haven't been suspended, they have been cancelled, and we will not be having any league competition this year 2020.
What's next after cancelling the local competitions?
What is next right now, we are encouraging all the clubs and all the stakeholders to use this period to make sure that we all clean up our houses to ensure that we have a very good 2021. The only activity that has remained on the calendar will be the AfroBasket qualifiers for the men that will take place in November in Egypt. That one is mandatory for us to participate in simply because we cannot afford to lose out. Once you lose out, then you have to wait for another 4 years for another window to open. So we have to take part in that one, and we are hopeful that we will not only participate, but we will qualify for the showpiece there. So that is what is on the calendar, and depending on how the situation goes as the year progresses, we might organize the simple-based tournament so that we can keep the players engaged and a little bit active before we start off our season, and that season will start off very early in 2021.
As the federation, are you going to handle the issue of players who have contracts with the clubs? As we understand, I think the whole year is cancelled.
Yeah. Our contractual obligations are entirely between the club and their own players, so that is up to the club and their players to really come to an agreement on how they are going to handle that contract, depending on what agreement they had in the beginning. But in case that doesn't happen, then whichever party, if there is a disagreement, whichever party can approach FUBA through our committee, and they can come through and have that resolved between them. We can have a mediator for that particular case, and that FUBA will be the mediator to come to an agreement between the players and the clubs. But we have asked the clubs and the players, we have put it out there and told them that we should all be considerate and declare that 2020 was a dead year. So if you had a 2-year contract running out in 2020, you should be realistic because there was no activity, and stick to your club for the next year 2021 so that you can at least fulfill your contractual obligation actively in the next year, because we have seen that so many players who have contracts will not fulfill their contractual obligation actively in 2020 because of the cancellation of all activities. So that is how we intend to handle it. It's between club and player. In case it fails, it can come to the federation, but we are also advising both the players and the clubs that they declare 2020 a dead year, that it is null and void, but it's entirely a decision that has to be made by both parties.
You also serve as a coach. Do you have any advice to the athletes who are at home?
Yeah, I have advice for the athletes. What we have been doing as a Miracle Basketball Club, Miracle Basketball Organization, is to keep engaging these players. There's so much that can be done besides just playing actively on the floor. We're encouraging players, first of all, to stay fit. Those that need any sort of equipment or things that can help them stay actively or stay fit while they're doing it at home, we can provide. And I believe that so many clubs, if Miracle can, so many clubs here in country can be able to afford that. So we're encouraging players to stay active, because if you go dormant right now, by the time 2021 comes, you will be trying to play catch up. But whereas if you stay active and you stay fit, it will be just icing on the cake when it comes to the 2021 season, which we intend that it will start very, very early in the year. So I'm advising players to really clean up their mindsets. This has happened. It's unlikely. It's unlucky that this has happened, but we have to clean up our mindsets as players and sober up and be able to wait. But whatever you're doing in this waiting period really will determine how you will perform or how you will really engage when it comes to the next season, 2021.
As FUBA, have you helped your athletes in any way, maybe monetary or in foodstuffs?
We are not in position to help athletes individually, but we have advised clubs to be able, and I believe clubs are doing an incredible job to maintain their athletes during this unlikely situation, the COVID-19 situation in the country. Clubs have been doing a great job. We haven't really had players come out there to lament or say this and that about them really not surviving. So I think that clubs have done an incredible job. We've seen actually some clubs even publish themselves really putting out some of this help to the players. So until we know that clubs have failed, but it is their duty. We don't want clubs, we don't want players to come to the federation, because that is maybe national team players can come to the federation. But besides that, I think that clubs are in position to really take care of their players, mostly those foreign nationals.
What about the FUBA officials?
When it comes to the officials are stakeholders in FUBA, and those ones are entirely under the federation. We know that they have been going through a trying time also as officials, since most of them live off those game allowances during regular competitions. But as a federation, we are working hard towards making sure that their livelihoods are well, that they can survive and be able to go through this COVID-19 situation. So as a federation, we're looking at providing some foodstuffs and wherever we can chip in here and there to make sure that they are surviving well.
Where does the International Federation of Basketball stand? As we see that of football has tried to help its members with maybe money. Where does FIBA stand?
Unfortunately, we haven't received anything in terms of money coming from FIBA, but FIBA has been helping us as a federation in capacity building, I would say, trying to make sure that we are able to source our own funds. They have done an incredible job. We've had a couple of Zoom meetings with them online, and they have really tried to equip us to make sure that we can be able to source for our own income right here from the country. So we haven't really received money tokens from them, but we have been helped in that matter to make sure that they're equipping us.
Thank you very much.